Angelika.
Let's get to our next session, our next panel. I will be moderating this session, and we will be discussing successful cases in partnership, in building up partnership between communities and businesses. I invite my colleagues, Alina Sviderska, General Manager of Scatec in Ukraine. Scatec is a Norwegian company engaged with the solar energy. They built in Ukraine a good number of solar plants, and today they are ranking the third on generation of the green energy. Alexander Vizir, Ukrainian Facility Platform. Anna Yurchenko, the co-founder of the Analytical Center We Build Ukraine. This panel is devoted to the topic on building up interaction between communities and private companies. For us, it's important to talk over this topic because we will have good sample discussions as the way communities build up this partnership with businesses, empowering communities in this regard, give them skills how to build up a partnership with the private companies will be very important in future, and actually also we understand invitation of loans, invitation of other instruments. It's important, but without building up such partnership, it's difficult to have a successful puzzle. Oleksandr, you will be the first. Could you please detail us on what you do in your organization? You have a sample or one case of building up such partnership. It's one community. You have 6 minutes. You have presentation, right? Microphones. Now we'll not talk a lot on partnership with the businesses for the how it's important for communities. Green reconstruction has very good perspectives for the future, and but development of different approaches as to the green generation. This was launched back to 2023. In 2023, we have lots of legislation documents on this green energy topic, and OCA actually was not engaged in green, but now we see how many chains actually decided to engage be engaged on sustainable power-related projects. But such a good cases for interaction between businesses and, for example, companies could be replicated for the interaction of communities with businesses. We understand that we will have lots of changes, but when we speak about the transmission, for us it's very important to understand what are the requirements of the transmitting companies, and certain operators, for example, could map out certain mix of different components in this scheme, but lots details also could be commented on. What actually we plan to do for cooperation with communities. One community is really very advancing, others are a bit behind, but we would like to build up the energy mix that will be beneficiary for this community. So it means that it could be viable. It means private investors will be ready to invest in it. The point is that we have many types of communities, communities that could invite investments and communities that cannot invite investments. But we would like to offer for all the communities ready-made solutions. The energy mix concept, we understand that it could be a ready-made solution, then it will be less costly for its maintenance and support. But in order to single out all these, we should always remember about the economic benefits. Also, with regards to the renewable energy sources, gas piston systems could be used. The logics of this system actually to have the power savings, and potential investors will have the gains on operation of their equipment. For us, it's important also to highlight that cooperation with communities is important, but here we aim to provide three key components. Firstly, it's technical assessment of local needs. Then for communities, it's important to find the legal models for the interaction and cooperation, because we understand that it is difficult. We see with one community, we are in the phase of implementation of the solution, how these legal models could be applied. And when this document is worked out, after that, they could announce tendering. And the third component, we did it only theoretically, we did not start it practically, because if we have a sort of a different generators capacities, how actually we could create such a mix, how we could speak about aggregation of all these sources, because for the level of community consumption normally will hardly be predictable. If, for example, the legal modality is improved, no doubt positive impacts will be with community. When we accomplish structurization, then we could actually reach huge effects on that. What we do analyze, no doubt, actual data on consumption for the last 3 years. It would be nice hourly based consumption, but sometimes it's not available. but as minimum, at least the overall power consumption for individual consumers. I understand for certain communities it's a problem, but each economic entity where they, for example, consume energy, uh, the data on real consumption data, they should be available. They should be collected and analyzed, because without this, any model could be worked out either on legal mechanisms and models or work with donors, etc. An important issue that is not normally analyzed, but in the context of potential reform of the legislation, it is allowable capacities. With time, this issue will become very critical. It means that it is not something on paper. In case that if you, for example, above the allowable consumption, one day it will become, it will cost for the companies. And now, actually, why we do need the analysis of the allowable capacities, because here first we see actually capacities that could be fed, and with communities where we do this analysis, we normally analyze as different facilities with a high capacity, uh, consumption capacity. Very important to do this analysis. And here it is important, microgrids utilization also important, because for example, if you, the green energy producer generator, then if you have these microgrids, then it will be very easy to sell the extra power. As Torsten, in the beginning of our session, as started talking the topic of the ice cream producer, and he needs power, to whom he should go? Definitely, this ice cream producer should go to the businessman. And then when there is a good linkage between him and business, then he will be a successful entrepreneur in his community. And we understand that the point is that we have certain legislative frameworks, and they are available today. How to use these legislative frames, everything could be tackled out. You gave very good examples, and the point is that you have already did a lot of work with a number of communities. How all this goes? Or difficult? We have very bad cases, poor cases. No, I will not comment on this. In Kiev regions, why they did fail, because they were the first. They did analysis. Actually, we prepared this aggregation of energy sources, and we made the presentation in the city council. We invited deputies, and but we asked them whether they have any questions, but they said we don't want to be the pioneers in this process. Mayor likes everything. The council does not like it. Rada does not like it. It's realities. Very often we actually try to select the gromada not based on the resources available, but on the good dialogue between, for example, mayor and the city deputies. Though this is a sort of one of the difficulties we encountered, so we have two poor cases, but 3 in 5 cases have a good chance to be implemented. No, I know that you prepare capacity building programs for communities. You are ready to work with private investors. Could you elaborate on it? I have presentation. I would like to show you my slides. 2 words to be said about our organization. 1 year ago, we founded it. So we have representatives of public community, representatives of private businesses, and currently in our work, we started work on building up capacities in Hromadas, public community projects, national level, national government level projects are prepared, but with regards to capacity building, you see some diagrams. It's the survey we had this fall. We asked 100 hromadas. Also, we took all types of hromadas, and the main objective of this research was to understand what are the needs in hromadas in terms of capacity building. What is lacking in hromadas to start reconstruction, to develop and to implement different types of projects. We had really very different types of hromadas in terms of their capacities. Because I worked in the government for 3 years and I was overviewing some international projects that were implemented both at the national and local level. And at that time, it was very critical. You know, very often international financiers mainly stated different events that for them it's no difference whether Hromadas has capacities or don't have capacities, but still they are more interested in Hromadas where they have capacities. But you know, as to the capacities, it's a difficult story because you may imagine that when we have the human resources at the level of Hromadas, but one day they could, for example, move to the other part of the country, or men could go to the military force as they mobilized. And you know, when we have the lack of human resources, you know, it's sometimes difficult to speak about capacities because for them it's really difficult to speak. For example, if the project is not in this inception phase, but in the phase of tendering and procurement, then you may imagine it's necessary to have such proficient capacities. That's why we actually put a focus on capacity building, and it is a highly costly exercise. And for us, it's important to see in future whether there will be benefits and gains on this exercise. We will see in future. But also in this survey, we actually asked development, Hromada's development, invitation of investments. It's very critical, and many people in the local governments, they understand that they need knowledge and skills on these topics. In the beginning of the current year, to our NGO, actually, Colonel get to our company. It is the company that pays lots of taxes in Ukraine. They work in 190 hromadas. They asked us, could you please, because earlier you were engaged in the implementation of projects in national and local level. Please, let's cooperate in Hromada level implementation of the projects. We will be ready actually to support them with training. We will give them support in project preparation. We understood that for Colonel, it's now difficult to work with some Hromadas for the reason that very many Hromadas have constraints. Now we have launched the platform for Hromada development, incapacitated, and we actually selected 3 topics. Also, we provided offline and online trainings. And we actually invited to this webinar and trainings number of communities. 674 representatives of Hromadas were covered with these platform efforts, and we try to be present in all communities in all parts of Ukraine. 303 communities are covered with our activity, and we see that actually we have an increasing interest on the part of Hromadas in multiplying knowledge and transferring knowledge and skills. No doubt when we have this or that request on the part of community, normally we include them in the list of participants of different webinars. And the point is that the last training we conducted in fall this year, it was in the form of webinar, but within 20 minutes we got 30 questions, and we understand that it's necessary to have one more webinar for answers and questions. And we realize that there is a good feedback on the part of the audience. We understand that the history of the work of our analytical center will play a role. We are planning to invite proficient lecturers in order to build up capacities. Next year, we will focus on the work of Hromadas and the private sector. We will start our activities in the realm of private-public partnership. And here we understand that we should be very sincere here, because we plan to speak in a very simple words how, for example, communities could work with the instrument of private-public instruments. Unfortunately, we have not implemented at the level of communities a single project with the public and private partnership. When, for example, we started talking over this topic together with EBRD, and we started this talk with big communities, and they say, oh no, we don't need it. Maybe one day we will be engaged. Also, we have launched one more project. It is supported by EU, and mainly it is focused on the strategic planning and work with communities. Communities should have understanding how they should do planning, how they should prepare strategic papers, and here actually we have invited a number of lecturers, so we have very different lecturers, representatives of the government, representatives of businesses. We discussed also energy resilience issues, inclusivity issues, and we understand now that there is more understanding in Hromadas, but we made an attempt to have a system-based dialogue with Hromadas in order they will have understanding what instruments are available and how this handshaking environment could actually engage them in such projects. So our work will be ongoing. Thank you very much. And it's a fantastic work has been done by your Analytical Center. Alina, you represent a private company. Could you elaborate on how did you work with the communities? I understand that this your experience, please.
So thank you. This year we started in 2012 or 2014. So there were no such programs on capacity buildings of communities, and how we selected investment project, and the company we invested 400 million euros in green energy. We have in Kyiv, Mykolaiv, other regions, but we didn't select by the community. We just were looking where it is a good place for connection to the grid, and so if you don't need to connect them through one substation or two substations, if you can put a line for 2 kilometers or 10 kilometers. The second is the land plot. We cannot choose some problem land plots or just ecological requirements. And if we take this land plot for 20, 50 years, and then we see where in which communities this community where we can come. So as a lesson, there were problematic gramadas, and there were some very good and flawless gramadas. And so for sure, the communities with whom it is easier to work with result much faster and more efficient. So we implement our project faster, and we develop a social project, because besides green energy, we do a lot of for the community. We build roads, we just repair some facilities, courses of English, and so also we just build some water supplies. And in some communities, there were situations where people blocked roads for us when we come with the equipment because we needed to build hectares of solar solar stations. But in the village where we worked, there were no roads at all. So they looked at us as an opportunity to build these roads. So they decided to block for us the field roads where we passed. So instead of decide in constructive dialogue, but they just decided to put blocks. So everything can be solved. It's the problem of communication. So, but it's also the work of the developer. It's a design phase first, and then the operational phase when you work already. So the operation phase, it's important because it's important for us. If the community develops, we can develop the community with us. It's very nice that we have the capacity building programs now and projects so that we can develop the communities not only with the investors that inside in the region, but with the bigger spectrum of possibilities, because it's not only Scatec or kernel, or just there can be some other investment opportunities. It's to build roads, and when we build a solar station for water supply, they didn't even know what to do. They said it's not possible to use, but we told them it is automatic. So the people cannot understand. I don't blame them because they don't have specialists in the region, and it's important to help them and to explain how it works. So it's very important and responsible work. So please look at the community with a partner approach. Don't look at the investor as an enemy whom you can shout and he will build something, but you can build a partnership and he will build something very good. For example, our company invested for more than 1 million euro in social elements. Just for social, and in all our projects, communities come and we tell them and we hear them and we say that we have this and we find common approaches and we do something cool, and it's very pleasant that we can achieve something. Thank you. And one more question from the room. Yeah. Renem? So, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Marina Abramian. I have the question to Mr. Oleksandr. So you thought about the difficulties when you select the information from consumers of electricity in communities. Sometimes these are municipal companies who are consumers B, or just who are on the tariff of the operator, small home consumers. So they don't have the meters, and you go to the operator of distribution, and sometimes he is not the electricity supplier. And can you operate with electricity suppliers? Sometimes they're not so friendly, but they can help you. And second, it's a first question that, and sub question, what to do to for the consumers about whom they I told you for them going to a square will mean the payment more. Thank you, and it's a very good question. I will try to answer in very short. I would be capable to talk to you for a year, for hours. It's a painful story sometimes. I never promote a score, and I don't call for people to go to in masses to a score. So it depends on the schedule, but sometimes it happens. A small example: we built for one for one spa complex, a carport, a solar station, a carport station belongs to a private business, and he sells the electricity to this spa complex. And what was the logic? When they received the bill, it was in the middle of the summer, so they said, please, you you sell us with 6 hryvnias, and the banker asks for 10. How can it be? I analyzed the curve, and I showed you, and there is a fundamental change, because in summer the tariff in summer in the day is much more easier, so the two-zone tariff is not needed at all. Sometimes you need to analyze the whole curve, and during the year it will be like this. And going to Group A, they started to pay 20% less taken from the grid. But we needed to analyze this because those who work with a steady schedule. For example, the dairy producers, they work at night, and it's very important. So the schedules shift, and it's for the first question. As for the second, maybe I will tell you. I don't ask everyone go into one single mold and use. So first, very relevant story. So go for, if you don't have data, go to your supplier, because he has his data, all of this data. You pay to him, but very often. We don't have this. Why I paid this citation to the operator of distribution system? Because often you don't have a score, but you have Azoto, and he pumps your hourly, so you don't have data per hour, but the data of our consumption, the operator distribution system can have them. And if we see physically that he's got Azoto, we ask him, because hourly consumption, I just feel that we lose the audience because you use the abbreviations. Anyway, the data are very good, and I like good data with hours, because they let you to model, and in the much better way to produce a good and much more interesting product if we use the schedules in the whole region with absolute numbers of the months. But you're correct, and I didn't pay attention. So if you don't have the data, go to your supplier, then you go, then you move on. Sorry for the abbreviations. Thank you. And if we have a very short question from the room, if not, we would better move on. Thank you a lot to our speakers and for your presentations.